Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Big Fish Football Week 7 review. I'm your host, Daryl Fisher. If you'd like to give Big Fish Football a like and subscribe, I'd sure appreciate it. And I just want to thank everybody for all the comments. I try to answer every comment, but I really enjoy answering them because I really love talking football. But let's get started. New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles. Thursday Night Football, two terrible teams, but hey, it turned out to be a good game with Philadelphia pulling it out in the end. Final score, 22-21. It seems like the Giants are trading some players away. They traded Marcus Golden away. I think everybody knew when Joe Judge came, they were in the process of a rebuild. So, it is what it is. Philly, it's just not their year. I'm not 100% sure what's going on with them. I've heard on radio stations that there's a possibility that they could call for Doug Peterson being fired. After a Super Bowl win in Philadelphia, no way Doug Peterson gets fired. No way. So, Giants 1-6, Phillies 2-4-1. They're in the hunt for the division. Next game, Steelers-Titans. Steelers won 27-24. They got up early in this game, 24-7. And in the second half, the Titans' defense adjusted, their offense adjusted, and also I think the Steelers let the foot off the gas a little bit. And that happens. When you get a huge lead like that, sometimes it's just one of those deals where you just can't get motivated to keep putting the hammer down. But, you don't want to score. You don't want to run up the score on the team, so you run on first and second down until they get back into the game. But Titans are a good team, and the Steelers finally beat a good team. Because let's face it, Browns are 5-2, but Baker bust and the Cleveland Browns are not a good team. They can only beat bad teams. They can't beat any good teams. So, final score 27-24. Steelers undefeated. The last time they were undefeated this long, 1978, which a lot of people feel the 1978 Steelers is the greatest team ever. Next game, Bills-Jets. And Bills fans, I'm just going to tell you this. Yeah, 18-10, and you didn't get it together until the second half. But your defense only gave up 4 yards in the second half, and that should tell you something. The Jets are terrible. They are the worst team in football, and they may be, if you put them against the 0-16 Cleveland Browns from 4 years ago now, I really think the Cleveland Browns would win that game easily. So, score was 18-10. Bills are 5-2. Jets are 0-7. Adam Gase, I guess they're keeping him. I guess he's going to be, Jets fans, you got to understand, they are tanking for Trevor. It really seems that way to me, and they're just going to let Adam Gase be the whipping boy. So I wouldn't get too upset about it. Just think, there's light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to get Trevor Lawrence, even though I think Sam Darnold is a great quarterback. I'd love to see him here for a year behind Ben Roethlisberger. But, and Bills fans, I will tell you this. Yeah, 18-10, and you struggled at times, but sometimes teams play down to their competition. When their competition is as bad as the Jets are, sometimes there's can't find the motivation, and you just play as bad as they are. But hey, like I always say, no one is going this time next year. No one's going to remember the score of this game. They're just going to remember the Bills won. Buccaneers Raiders, huge disappointment for the Las Vegas Raiders, but they really got caught up. The COVID wreaked havoc in their locker room 3 days before the game. And I know John Gruden was upset that the game wasn't moved, like Tennessee moved their game, and the Patriots moved their game, and the Broncos, and all that stuff. But, excuse me, you knew at the beginning of the season, every team knew they were the rules. And from what I heard, Vegas is a ghost town. So it's not like these players were out there partying and stuff like that. It's just one of those deals where shit happens. So, final score of that game, Buccaneers 45, Raiders 20. Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, and the rest of the offense have it going. And not next week, in week 8, but week 9, they have Antonio Brown, which is good because Chris Godwin cannot stay healthy. Broke his finger, needed surgery, he broke it so much. So he'll be out this coming week. But the Brady-Gronkowski connection is now back to where it was, and it just comes down to Gronkowski getting in football shape, it looks like. Everybody thought, oh, he lost his step, he's not motivated. No, he was just not in football shape. So, Buccaneers are 5-2, tied for the lead in their division with the Saints, technically they're second, and the Raiders are 3-3. Raiders finished 8-8. It's an okay season. They finished 9-7 or better. Great season for the Las Vegas Raiders. Beautiful stadium there in Las Vegas, by the way. Jaguars, Chargers. Chargers are a better team than what they're playing. They've got a great young quarterback. I would say right now, him and Joe Burrow are battling for Rookie of the Year. I would say right now he gets it. Final score of that game, Chargers 39, Jaguars 29. Let's face it, Jaguars are done. They absolutely stink. There's not much more you can say about it. I could see a situation where the Jets could actually beat them. They're so bad. Gardner Minshew is not the answer in Jacksonville. And hey, maybe they're in the tanking for Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes also. Even though Trevor Lawrence, yeah, the Jets aren't a great organization right now, but I'd rather go there than Jacksonville, a team that's going to, when things get back to normal from the COVID, they're going to play 2 or 3 games in London every year, and I think that stinks. But the Chargers have their 2-4. Chargers have a chance to slowly get back into this. They just need to play a little better defense. That's all. Lions-Falcons. This was a great game. Falcons, I thought Raheem Morris, they had turned a corner. They beat the Vikings last week, but the running back made a mistake on the goal line and fell over the line with the ball when they were trying to kill time. That gave the ball back to the Detroit Lions, and Detroit marched down the field, and with no time left, Matt Stafford threw the ball in the end zone, scored a touchdown. Lions are 3-3, and good for Matt Patricia because his job has to be on the line this year. Because you got rid of Jim Caldwell, who didn't have a losing season while he was in Detroit. And I think he made the playoffs twice. So, final score of that game, Lions 23, Falcons 22. They pulled it out in the end. Browns, Bengals. Let's face it. The Cleveland Brown defense is really, really overrated. They're terrible. I understand that the offense is pretty good in Cincinnati, and they seem to get better every week. But, Baker Bust made it easy for the Bengals pick. And in that pick, trying to make a tackle, OBJ tore his ACL. So, maybe they'll do better without OBJ whining and complaining on the sidelines for the ball and trying to motivate his team with no shoes on. Maybe it'll be better for Baker Bust. So, we'll have to see. Browns are 5-2. They're the worst 5-2 team in football. I would say right now, I would have last week, I think I may have said the Bears were. No, it's the Browns. Because the Browns can't beat a winning team. Bengals, they're exciting to watch. They just traded Carlos Dunlap today. They need defense. They're now, and the offense is getting better. I think they have the pieces in place for the offense. Now it's time to acquire some young defensive talent. So, Bengals are an up-and-coming team. It's going to take a few years, though. It's really going to take a few years. But you got Joe Burrow, and he is fantastic, just like Justin Herbert. Final score of that game, Browns 37, Bengals 34. Browns are 5-2. Bengals are 1-5. 1-5-1. They should be better than that. Panthers Saints. Saints pulled this out 27-24. If people keep telling you that the New Orleans Saints are Super Bowl contenders, they don't know what they're talking about. Their defense is one of the worst in the league, and Drew Brees is now starting to show his age without Michael Thomas, as a safety valve. Michael Thomas, I'm not sure what's going on with him. He's only played, we're going to be 8 games in the season next week, this coming weekend, and he's only played in 1 game. He's suspended for punching a player, our teammate. He's had ankle and hamstring injuries. So hopefully he gets it together because he's an amazing talent. But the final score of that game, 27-24. Panthers are 3-4, which surprised me. I thought they'd be a lot worse. And this just goes to show you that Matt Rule turns things around. And New York Jets, you let them hire your own staff, you'd be in year 2 of this, I think. So what a mistake you guys made. And it looks to me, everybody said, oh, I can't believe they cut Cam Newton. I can't believe they didn't give Cam Newton one more shot. Now I get it. Cam Newton is playing terrible right now in New England. And Teddy Bridgewater is the real deal. He proved that he was a number 1 draft pick years ago. Cowboys, Washington. Let's face it, folks. The NFC East, worst division in football. And now the Cowboys aren't the best team in the division. I would still say it's Philadelphia, and it might be Washington. Washington won this game 25-3. Andy Dalton got knocked out on a cheap shot by John Bostic, and it was a cheap shot. When you're sliding like that and you hit a guy helmet to helmet, I can't believe he's not sitting at home for some games. But the Redskins, Ron Rivera just finished up his last cancer treatment, so kudos to him and congratulations. And, Kyle Allen looks okay. I still would go with Dwayne Haskins, but I get what Rivera's doing. He feels that Kyle Allen gives him the best chance to win. So, the Cowboys are an absolute dumpster fire. They're paying Mike McCarthy $9 million a year, so they're not going to fire him, Cowboy fans. I don't know what to tell you. Andy Dalton back up. You guys are going to play Ben DiNucci probably this weekend because Dalton couldn't practice today. I don't know what to tell you. The defense is bad. They've paid all these offenses. You've got tens of millions of dollars tied up into about 3 or 4 players. And the rest of the team is really hurting. They just trade Everson Griffin. They're cutting a defensive tackle. They're cutting cornerback Darryl Worley. So I don't know if they're throwing in the towel this year, but if they would somehow end up with the number 1 pick, I could see them letting Dak Prescott go in free agency and drafting Trevor Lawrence. But that would save them from cap room for 5 years, and they would be able to sign defensive players. Because hey, it's supposedly America's team. You'd think they wouldn't have any trouble signing free agents. Final score of that game: Washington Football Team 25, Cowboys 3. I think that Washington can win their next 4 games. So right now, they're the favorites to win the NFC East. But someone's going to win the NFC East 6-10, 7-9, maybe even 5-11, which would be an atrocity when the AFC North is going to have the Ravens and Steelers battling off to the bitter end. And if one team's probably going to win 13 or 14 games, the other team's probably going to win 11 or 12. It's ridiculous. Packers, Texans. Let's face it. Texans didn't show up. Packers did their normal game plan, machine-like offense. They played enough defense to keep their offense on the field. And Packers won easy. Packers are just a well-oiled machine when things are going right. Yeah, you would thought, 3-4 defense in Houston, 3-4 defense in Tampa. You would have thought they would have used the same game plan. But let's face it, there are some big names on that Houston defense, but they're old now. They are old. And I can definitely see this will be J.J. Watt's last year in Houston. Maybe he'd come to Pittsburgh and just come in to rush the passer with his 2 brothers, but it would have to be very cheap because the Steelers are up against the cap. Final score of that game, 35-20. Packers dominated the game. Texans just scored some points in yardage and garbage time. But Houston, you might keep might keep the quarterback and pretty much forget about everybody else. Chiefs Broncos. Chiefs won this game with special teams and defense. Final score was 43-16. Let's face it, I think we all knew that they'd just run over the Broncos. They just ran them over differently. But that's how you win games. Somebody different steps up every week, and that's what makes a championship team. So, final score of that game, 43-16. Broncos are in a rebuild. I would hope that John Elway would give Vic Fangio another year, but hey, John Elway hasn't done a superb job of drafting. Maybe they'll send John Elway away and Vic Fangio. You never know. I think it would be tough to fire John Elway. 49ers, Patriots. For the first time in over 20 years, the Patriots have a losing record. Patriots haven't been this bad since 2000. Tom Brady's rookie year, when he did not play, Drew Bledsoe was the quarterback. So, I don't know what you do. If I were the Patriots right now, I would sign Josh Rosen off the Tampa Bay's practice squad. Cam Newton has played so bad in the last 2 weeks. I don't know if he's in the COVID fog that everybody keeps talking about, but it's not going to hurt to try to bring somebody else in that would cost you next to nothing and see what he's got. And Josh Rosen will be, anybody can try sign Josh Rosen off Tampa's practice squad. So, final score of that game, 33-6, 49ers. 49ers just, now they're playing well. Jimmy Garoppolo had the win in New England with something to prove. And tell me, everybody, on the comments and likes and subscribe, do you think this would be Bill Belichick's last year? Do you think he'd retire and start doing TV? He's starting to do Subway commercials, which he's never done before. Makes me think that he's winding down. Tell me what you think. Seattle Cardinals. This was my upset pick of the week, and guess what, everybody? I was right. The Cardinals pulled it out in overtime. What a game. Cliff Kingsbury, I don't think he's a very good coach. Matter of fact, I think he's just a pretty face. But he has good coaches around him. Vance Joseph is a great defensive mind, and their defense is playing well. Seattle, Russell Wilson threw 2 turnovers. Surprising. That kind of what brought the Cardinals back. But the Cardinals stayed in the game the whole time, and they pulled it out in the end with a field goal in overtime. So kudos to them. Kyler Murray is the real deal, and the connection that him and Dwayne Hopkins have is just unbelievable. So, upset pick of the week, I was right. I don't think I was right about last week, so I'm not going to gloat too much because my upset week pick coming up, I could be dead wrong. In our last game, Bears-Rams. Let's face it, the Bears did not come to play. The Rams pretty much did what they wanted when they wanted, and the pass rush was just too much for Nick Foles. Nick Foles looked old and slow in this game, and rightfully so. That front 7 is ferocious. And there's talk about, Nick Foles wasn't happy with the play calling. They can't get a running game going this year. And believe me, I know I have David Montgomery on my fantasy team. So Bears defense didn't show up barely, so that kind of bugs me. So that's kind of going to do it for the show. Like and subscribe. We got some things to talk about in the review. Like we've already talked about the signing of Antonio Brown and everything like that. But if you give me a like and subscribe and a comment, I'll answer the comment. I love talking football. But right now I'm going to bring on my executive producer, Ryan Fisher, and he's going to give you a message.
Please go check out my channel, Lego Lenny, in his subscriptions. It's about like Lego stuff, if you know what Lego is. And it's a little cool because I upload about a week and I make short videos or long videos, reviews or little tiny skits. You don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to happen at least once a week.
Thanks, Ryan. And hey, if you got kids, you can show them this. It'd be great. Ryan does a really good job with the Legos. Believe me, I know. I've paid for all of them. So, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Like I said, give me a like and subscribe. And Saturday, we'll do the Week 8 preview, plus my upset pick of the week. So, until next time, everybody, we will see you later. Good night.